Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. I guess you can say the interim between the season that we've just witnessed and really wished was ending and next season. This is the period of time where we get gossip, we get speculation, there are new stories dropping left, right and centre about Chelsea FC. So if you're not yet subscribed to the George Benson Football Channel, make sure you do so. My Telegram link is down below. There's giveaways over there. I've partnered with Go Markets, Chelsea's trading partner, and we're making money. And we're all doing very well, those that have actually signed up. So link at the top of the description. Today, we're going to talk Pochettino, Ugarte, Osimhen, and Nkunku. And it's time to be excited again, Chelsea fans. Let's start with Mauricio Pochettino, who has signed the contract. It was one of those where we were all just pleading, weren't we? We're like, he's joined. Fabrizio Romano said it, so we're all thinking it's done. All the top journalists were talking about it too. But now he signed the contract, which means he starts work at Chelsea this week, which is massive because even now the season is over, we've heard all of the rumours about the way that players were behaving, the attitude of players when it came to training, communication between players. Was when you think about all of these little stories that it kind of feels a bit like nitpicking, but at the same time the little things accumulate over the season when it comes to dysfunctionality. If players aren't communicating together on the training ground, then you can get some answers as to why there are seemingly no answers positively on the field when Chelsea play football. So Pochettino's starting work now. What are the first things that Mauricio Pochettino is going to need to do? First of all, identifying his transfer targets. I think it is massive during this summer that not only did Chelsea invest on the obvious positions, a number 6, a striker, and whatever really else Pochettino wants. I think the Lampard appointment has backfired on Chelsea here because as much as when Graham Potter was sacked, it would have been very difficult for Pochettino to come in and massively turn it around. I think when Potter was sacked, realistically, we've got to look at where Chelsea were headed for so long, being knocked out the Champions League, precariously looming in the bottom half of the Premier League table. The season was always clutching at straws and climbing hills for Chelsea towards the end. So as much as it would have been good for Pochettino to come in early when Lampard came in to see, look, this ain't good, this is good, this is what we can work with, this is how I work, so let's get started now. That in hindsight would have been significantly better than the job that Frank Lampard has done, which has been, as much as I love Frank, seeing him yesterday doing his little lap of honour around Stamford Bridge, you can argue that's the only time he's ever really been able to go there and, be appreciated by Chelsea fans. Playing time, couldn't. Managerial time, he was fired. So this was the only time that Frank's ever been able to get that appreciation at Stamford Bridge in a definitive season game. So overall, it just killed the end of this season for us, didn't it? So with Poch now joining, contracts being signed, work beginning this week, identify who you want, who we're going to be signing, working with next season, and identify who you don't want. Because that is more important this summer for Chelsea, arguably, than the amount of signings. We need 2 players, 110%, a world-class defence-minded midfielder and a world-class striker. If we can get that, then if that's the only 2 signings we make, I will be scratching my head, but that is essential. Selling multiple players, and I would say in excess of 10, is also essential for Chelsea this summer. Pochettino needs to look at the profiles of players that he has in this squad. Look at the ideas that he has. The ideas is what got him the job. Pochettino has come in with a strategy that has been pitched to the owners to say, this is where we are, this is what I can bring, and this is where I envisage taking you. And if Pochettino can't establish the style, the profile of players that he needs, and therefore the profile of players he doesn't need, if he can't do that, in the early phases of this summer and isn't allowed to by the owners, we will struggle massively, even under a top coach like Pochettino. If we cannot profile the right players the right way, then we are going to continue to fail. That is where Chelsea have gone wrong. We have spent money on players that don't fit the profiles of what we're lacking and what we need, which leads us in to talk about Manuel Ugarte, who towards the end of this season, I have absolutely fallen in love with this player. In terms of like, when Chelsea kept being linked to him, obviously, this is my job, talking about the football. I need to watch the players that I'm talking about to be able to give any kind of coherent opinions as to whether or not I think they're any good. And with the Rebuilding Chelsea series, the final episode is done. It's ready, and I show you what I think our squad needs to look like next season based on the profiling we just talked about, based on Poch signing a new deal, and Chelsea are pushing for Manuel Ugarte. It is a battle right now between PSG and Chelsea. Both proposals have been sent to Ugarte and his team, and Chelsea are wanting to pay for Ugarte in a similar manner in which we did for Enzo Fernandez. There is a release clause there, so Ugarte is obviously going to be looking at the options. If I was Ugarte, I would be joining Chelsea. And that is not just because of my blue-tinted, I'm a Chelsea fan, I make Chelsea videos goggles. It's because PSG are done, mate. Mbappe says he's staying, but Man City or Real Madrid or someone comes knocking on the door and he's bouncing. Lionel Messi, au revoir, toodle pip. He's gone. Neymar, he's gone. PSG, what are you joining if you join PSG? Tell me what you're joining. You're going to join a team that might just scrape Liga next season, will never win the Champions League, and one day you're going to wish you signed for a proper football club. Straight up, as says the guy whose team just comfortably finished 12th in the Premier League. No decision yet, says Fabrizio Romano, but Chelsea will keep insisting. I think the key thing here, when we talk about Pochettino identifying his players, Pochettino wants Ugarte. Brilliant. Chelsea have obviously profiled that the defensive midfield position is an area that desperately needs strengthening, but also, when we put those two things together, Ugarte fits the bill of what Chelsea need. Chelsea need a defensive midfielder who isn't going to be Kante, who, as he's got older, has just become this like aggressive pressing moving forward machine. Enzo can do that job. We need someone who can happily sit in front of the defence to free Enzo Fernandez. And Manuel Ugarte is that player. There is still an element of rawness about him where he's not the finished article. He's not prime Kante, prime Claude Makelele, defensive midfielders in our heads. But he is a brilliant player. He can carry the ball well. Passing-wise, it's good, but final ball needs a bit of work, needs to improve, but he's still very young. And compared to the price tag of Declan Rice, Chelsea not being in the Champions League, Ugarte will still see Chelsea as a rise from Sporting, whereas Declan Rice will have the options of Arsenal, City, no Champions League. Declan Rice signing for Chelsea, I think, is impossible. So I'm looking at other options in that position, and I think Ugarte fits the bill. Let's talk now about Victor Osimhen. Following Napoli's 2-2 draw with Bologna, which saw Victor Osimhen net twice, Luciano Spalletti, who has now resigned as manager of Napoli, was quizzed on the striker's future by DAZN. As quoted by Football Italia, he said, "When players start working in a certain way, you identify their characteristics and find paths to give them service. This is what Pochettino does. Osimhen scores goals. So Chelsea, please, let's go out and buy this player. Let's make sure that we put an offer on the table that not only can Napoli not financially refuse, but Victor Osimhen is a top elite European striker. He's won the league this season with Napoli. Napoli know that with Spalletti now gone, it is going to be hard for them to sustain what they've built so far this season. So, Chelsea might need to sell players in order to do this. We know that, but we're going to be doing that regardless. Victor Osimhen, now that the transfer window has started, this is my time to start my little trains. When I feel as though Chelsea need to sign a player, I let you guys know. And sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it wrong. I called Chelsea signing Kai Havertz and Timo Werner way in advance of anybody else. And I also called the same for Erling Haaland, and then that one was incorrect. But now we begin the push for Victor Osimhen to Chelsea. Hit the like button on this video if that is the striker that you also want at Chelsea Football Club. Harry Kane, 30 goals, but Daniel Levy would rather let him go for free next year than sell him to Chelsea now. And I just don't think it's going to happen. And the final news is Christopher Nkunku is the Golden Boot winner in the Bundesliga. When you look through the list, there isn't really that many top strikers in there. And he is a Chelsea player. It will be announced very soon, which again, massively exciting. And Nkunku is a player who plays with flair. He's direct, he scores goals, he scores free kicks. And Chelsea are in for a treat. And if we do sign someone like Victor Osimhen, talking about Kai Havertz running the middle for Chelsea will become a distant memory. Osimhen and Nkunku takes Chelsea immediately to the top half of the Premier League table. We won't get carried away yet. Let's see how all of this pans out. But let me know your thoughts on today's stories in the comments down below as players get sold, players get closer to joining. We'll be talking about it here on GBFC, so make sure you are subscribed to the George Benson Football channel. Busy summer ahead. I'm going to try and keep you guys updated with all the updates in terms of Chelsea news every single day from today. See you guys tomorrow. Come on, you Blues.